and welcome to part 3 of Alan Darby. He's got so much to say. We are going to be featuring now on this part, impeachment before government. Caroline, it's over to you.
Welcome, it's Caroline Stevens. I'm interviewing Alan Darby from the West Midlands today. Today he's talking about impeachment before the government. Alan.
Yes.
Can you explain the term impeachment and why before government?
Well, I've been stopped to lay criminal information before 8 magistrates. I've been denied access to the House of Lords when it was the House of Lords, when the appeal court was the House of Lords. I've been denied access to even writing to a committee of magistrates to lay an information before a magistrate. I feel that the ring fencing and the duration of time, I'm not running, there's nothing time barred in this, but at 75, I was only a young man when I started this. I've been doing it for 30 years.
What have you been doing, Alan?
Getting the evidence, obtaining the evidence, learning the law to take them on. And every time I do it, I give it my best shot like I'm doing today. I don't lie. I don't go over the top. I don't make allegations that I can't prove, as you've seen with the evidence. And you haven't seen it all, so I'll be fair with you. You haven't seen it all. I'm not giving the right platform. I should be saying this before a judge. First and foremost, the magistrate. Then the magistrate should be deciding what to do with it. And it should be dealt with by the police then. The magistrate would order the police to investigate the murder, the bodies, where the bodies are. The IPC wrote to Warwickshire Police and told them
hang on, you've gone too far for me. You're talking about the court system, but the court systems are corporations, aren't they?
Well, the country is, isn't it?
It is. United Kingdom is a corporation.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, United Kingdom being a member of the European Union, it's the UK, but it's not England and it's not Wales and Scotland.
No.
So surely we can extricate ourselves from that document.
Well, the police force in Scotland, there's only one police force and it's called the Scottish Police Force, isn't it?
The one police force in Scotland.
And that's what they'll do here and in Wales. So that's how I can see it developing. But
so anyway, going back to, you were saying about finding bodies. In what respect? What do you mean?
The bodies.
Yes, remember this is part 3.
Yeah, okay. The bodies that I'm not being, at the moment in this time, I'm only saying that, yes, Andrew Joseph Brown.
Who is, for the benefit of the
officer,
people who've never watched any of your programmes
Andrew
before.
Joseph Brown.
Is a prison officer.
The prison officer, Winton Green prison officer, received stolen money, had houses brought for him, the police knew about it, the Law Society knew about it. He never faced charges, he was never in court. Michael Archer was dealt with as an individual. Andrew Brown, 2 years after Michael Archer was sentenced to 5 years, comes up and they're all trying to protect Andrew Brown, but they're not trying to protect Andrew Brown.
They're protecting themselves, aren't they?
Themselves. Of course, because they received stolen money. Now, the cleverness of Michael Archer was that the police blackmailed Michael Archer, but Michael Archer, as I've said in one of the interviews before, he was quite a clever man. He was a very clever man, the cleverest person out of all the people I've ever met. He was a very shrewd cookie. And he said that they thought that they were running him, but in actual fact, he was wagging the dog's tail. They weren't wagging the dog's tail. He was wagging the dog's tail. Their tails was wagging them. He was wagging their tails.
So he's a prison officer?
No, he was a solicitor.
A solicitor.
He was a clever man.
Right, okay.
His brother is in selling houses and all that. So the two of them know the law inside out. You know what I mean? This type of stuff, what we're dealing with, properties and all that. And the fact that he used... he murdered David King was for the fact that he needed Rutherford's on his side, because one of the solicitors of Rutherford's sat on the group in the Office of Supervision of Solicitors, picking the companies or the solicitors who should be investigated. He decided who should be investigated from people like myself who complained against them. If he said they won't be investigated, they weren't investigated. And so he needed one of them solicitors on his side, and that was the solicitor who I said referred to as the ringleader of that group. £5,000 and he resigned. But he put his name on documents, and he also laundered the money 2 years after the trial in the Archer case, that money for Andrew Brown.
So where are we going with the impeachment?
The impeachment. The crimes was committed basically. The police and government involved the minister, Mike O'Brien, the Labour Party ministers, even up to Yvette Cooper. She is
Yvette Cooper.
She is the
She's the Shadow Home Secretary, is she still?
No, that's the black woman. What's her name?
Diane Abbott.
Diane Abbott. Yvette Cooper is the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, who is investigated. She won't even answer my letters.
Right.
She will not answer my letters. Now, she is a legal person. She's
married to Ed Balls, who
right.
was attended one of the Bilderberg meetings, wasn't it?
She's a barrister or a solicitor. She knows the law. And she is having her strings pulled and pulling strings for Burko. Them two are conspiring against the Prime Minister with the Attorney General. He was leading the anti-Brexit campaign.
Dominic Grieve.
Now, the Prime Minister is not a Brexiteer. She was never a Brexiteer.
No, she wasn't.
To stay. But she said she will do what the public have voted for. And she said, when a manifesto was, a country that works for everybody. It's not working for me, and it's not working for the victims of crime.
Absolutely not.
It's not working for these people.
No.
I want it to work.
Who's it working for?
It's working for them. The people who
The
committed
1%.
the crimes. They are the ones. And they're laughing. And they will carry on doing it. There is no end to this. They will pass it on. When it started in 1988, and then they started it again 10 years later, done the same thing. They're running, and all the time these people are they're running the courts, they're running the system.
Yeah.
And you've got to break it. Now, I know that there are some bad Masons in there involved with this, but I'm not going to turn around and say it's a Masonic. It's not. There's good police officers. I can show you a good police officer in Tamworth who got 4 people off a murder charge, and they sacrificed him. They sent him to the wall.
Really?
And when they was following me, right opposite me is the Brinkspat counting house, and they was renting. They weren't renting. They was using a builder's yard office. And I walked into the office and I said, if I catch any of you, this is MI5 on the Scarlet, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. I cop any of you following me again, you're in big trouble. I traced him back from Chesterfield. And that's where he went, to the office. And they were so busy following me that they never seen the robbery. The place was robbed. They rammed the lorry through the wall. And it's right opposite where they was using the others. And somebody said to me, how can you tell that it was them following them? I said, because it's in the winter and it's quite, and I'll tell the people, watch, the smoke on a car, on a coal car, comes out white. So what you've got to do, if you think the car's following you and it's just started up, it's a cold day, so just started up, you started up, they ain't been sitting in a car, they've jumped in the car's been cold, solicitors, and it lets off white smoke. If it's not white smoke, it's probably not. But if it is white smoke, make a note of the number for reference. And you do know by that white smoke that car has started up cold and your car has started up cold. And somebody said, never thought of that. And you follow that? And I said, yeah. And I said, once I've got them, I've got the number, I know the car, whether it's warm or hot. I know the car. And I've had them follow me to London on a regular basis. Our gold solicitors in the big Mercedes Benz.
Nice.
Regular.
Nice work if you can get it.
Nice work if you can get it. But
So what we're going to do with the government?
with the government, it needs Theresa May to look at the evidence. The letters that I've got, that letter there.
Yeah.
The police said I haven't got the evidence. I've showed you I've got the evidence. That letter was never received by the Home Secretary, Sajid David, and then I've got another one saying it was. But you see that letter wasn't real. That was appeasement to shut me up, thinking, oh, it's all right, he's got it. Because there's no
Proper letterhead.
There's no letterhead on it, there's no who sent it, it's not signed. So they've given me the cheque, I've cashed the cheque, the first thing I've done, and had it photographed. And then once I've cashed it, no mistake, there's no mistake here. This is
So what was the cheque about?
return for payment, because they never deliver the letter.
Oh, I see.
That's me, the cost of the letter.
Right.
And yet they've told me that it was posted. And they're telling me that the letters are going to Burko, and he's never answered any letters. Letters to the Prime Minister, letter come back from the Prime Minister. There's nothing the officer can do. I'm telling the Prime Minister that our national security has been breached. She is in charge, nobody else. The Prime Minister is the person who's solely in charge of our security, national security, the Prime Minister. And her office has told me her office can't help. Of course, I'm not writing to her office to help. I'm writing to the Prime Minister to try and make an appointment. So now I've got to do it through the Right Honourable Gentleman, QC Jeremy, which them documents weren't posted because his office, I went to his office and it weren't there. It moved to the sanctuary. Now I'll find out where the sanctuary is and go down and hand deliver them documents. I reported it to the police. I gave the documents to give to the police to say, well, right, you've got them, because I had 2 bundles. I was going to do this anyway. And they said, we don't want it. They wanted an freehand written statement from me, although there was a statement in there, which next time I'll give you the full bundle of documents once they've gone, once I've delivered it. And you can show them on the set if they want to see it.
But when we use the word
Always.
impeachment, that we tend to associate impeaching presidents, don't we?
You do, yeah. It hasn't, the impeachment, you see, it is much like the radio, the telephone tapping, on that sort of basis. They're given a commission by government to look at, but they've got no criminal investigation powers. They've got certain limited powers. Government hasn't got no powers. Government can't give itself a limitation. So anything that goes with government impeachment, anything, they can't. You can't impeach the Prime Minister if she hasn't on an impeachment order that she is going to turn around and say, well, we'll impeach you. That you can't. You've got a limitation to what you do. You can't be criminal.
So okay.
So
So who
so-
can we impeach then?
Well, you ask government to impeach, and quite obviously, the highest solicitor in the land, the highest barrister in the land,
Who is Jeremy Wright?
QC, the Right Honourable Jeremy Wright, QC, advised government how to go. He would defend government. He would act for government and act for us. It's the people and government against these people who've conspired to commit acts of treason upon government and us.
But then you could say that about the whole government, because we are being ruled by Brussels.
No, not the whole government. These are named people, and the crimes are, as I've said, they're set out. Burko's involved with it. Him telling me to go to the Citizens Advice Bureau, the highest law officer in the land. He's supposed to be advising government. In why can't he? We take a case action out. We can go with government and say, we will take a case action of impeachment out with you. We need you to do it. As a type of a party, we are working class people and we do it.
So we could impeach Dominic Grieve.
Yeah.
We could impeach Burko, Keith
Vaz. Yeah.
Mike O'Brien,
O'Brien.
Yvette Cooper.
Yvette Cooper. All them, and on the committee as well.
Yeah.
There's
What about the fact that we have MPs who are taking advice on committees?
yeah, that's him, the committees, and the ones who are on the Justice Committee, the whole lot of them.
Right, because I mean, very recently, George Osborne, who attends the Bilderberger meetings,
Yeah.
he was giving advice to the government. So some of our local MPs here were actually listening on the Education Committee, because George Osborne is actually part of the Northern Powerhouse.
Yeah.
So those MPs taking advice from a Bilderberger, surely is that not questionable too?
It's criminal.
Criminal.
So it's the Attorney General. Jeremy Wright is the main man.
He is the man that could
He
do
is the main
this.
man who works for both the government and for us. He works for the government first. He would represent the government. So it would all be done through him. But as a class of people, we will take a class, and that's we sign. You know what I mean? Everybody you've got to tell them on the thing, if we're recording this now,
Yeah.
this is what we've got to do. We've got to take a class action. I will set it out. If you can get as many people as you can, I will go canvassing for it. We'll set some leaflets up to let them know what we're doing. So we'll turn around and say, look, this is what we want. This is against us. We're the one who pays the taxes that these people are robbing. And it's double jeopardy to turn around and say, you want us to pay for a law society that acts against us, that steals off us and covers up that steal and murders us. No way. We're not having that. This is stuff that revolutions are made of.
Yes.
This is, honestly, it can be a case of civil disobedience. If this doesn't work, then I'll go for strikes that everybody should know.
Now we're
And-
talking about action.
Yeah, action, but we'd then turn around. The first thing I'd say is, don't buy any papers, because they're part of it.
Don't buy any mainstream media.
Yeah.
What about stopping paying the BBC?
And the BBC,
License.
the last, everything, the media. But there's one programme that I wouldn't turn around and say that the couldn't, would be, I would give a leeway to Sky Television at the moment, because they're the only ones who are promoting the plastic Save the Planet, and the other is the RT, the American television programme.
Oh yeah, Russia
RT,
Today.
brilliant, and you could probably get them on the side. Somebody
It's
like you
Russian.
wrote to them
It's
through your
Russian.
internet.
RT is
you
Russian.
could get them on your side.
Right.
They would publish this, you know.
Okay, so what we need to do is, if you write a letter for us.
We're not talking terrorist action, hurting anybody. No, this is we're going to government saying, look,
peacefully.
peacefully. We're
No
lawful.
loss, no injury to
No, We're not
anybody.
threatening. We're not making any threats.
So if you can write me a letter,
Yes.
and I will share it with the viewers,
Yeah.
and we'll put it on the Basis Project.
Yeah.
And
As a
let's-
class action, it's a class
class
action.
action.
The legal terminology is a class action. That is, we're all the same class. That's what we're doing, class. We're all working class. That's where the name come from, class. It's a class action.
Right.
And in his case, it's a working class action.
Well, we are the people.
We're class.
We are the people, and we said we'd take back control.
We make the payments to run the country. Our taxes pay for the legal aid, the judges. It's paid through government and government departments. These committees that they have, MPs, we pay the wages for them.
So how do you respond to the likes of Dominic Grieve and I guess all the MPs now who think that Parliament is sovereign and we as the people have to do what we're told?
Well, I'd give him the same advice as he gave me. I'd say see the Citizens Advice Bureau. Would you agree?
Yeah,
If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
that's true.
I'm
Give
not
them a
legally
piece of
trained.
their own medicine.
I'm not legally trained. He's the legal person. He should not have sent me. He should have answered that question. I asked him yes or no, and I spent a lot of time. The seriousness of it, and he knew that he couldn't let me go because he was protecting his mates and the courts system.
We have to break the system
Lord
down.
Deming said, if I'd have been the judge on the Birmingham 6 trial, that's the Birmingham 6 when they blew the tavern in the town up, the hole in the wall in Birmingham, Paddy Hill's friends.
Yeah.
If I'd have been the judge on that trial, I would have found them guilty as well to protect the good name of the courts.
That's justice in the UK today.
So they're using the same trilogy as Deming. And I used to think he was a good master of the roles. The man was an idiot.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for coming into the
And you can
studios.
You can read it in the hardback book. That's what he said it. I'm not
Right.
making this up. It's in an hardback book. I nearly fell off because I was going down to the House of Parliament, and that particular day, as I read it, I ended up in the television, the press room, with the Birmingham 6, and a friend of mine said, "Let's burn the books then. Let's burn the books, the law books."
Well, they're not much good.
Nobody takes it. And the Royal Courts of Injustice, I'm not doing credit to I'm not dishonouring the Crown, the Royal Courts, but that's who it says. But the Royal Courts of Justice are not being royal. They are producing bad law, and that is the real terminology for bad law. Strange law is the correct name. Bad law and strange law, either one means that it doesn't exist. So that's what your friends and your colleagues out there, and my friends and colleagues out there, when they can't get justice because it's been denied to them, and they're told lies, bad law, and they're given bad law or strange law, which doesn't exist. They make it up on the hoof.
Well, I mean, on Facebook, there are so many groups now fighting for justice.
Well, let's join hands. Let's
Yeah.
do a joint.
This is what we need to do.
A joint. I'll set it off. I will do
Okay.
it. I will front it. As I've said to you before, I will go it. I'll go the mile. I'm not frightened. I'm not frightened. They don't frighten me. If they're going to kill me, they're going to kill me. I can't do anything about it. I will try. If they come face to face, I'll have a 50-50, well, better than a 50-50 chance because I'm better than them. Mentally, they wouldn't beat me. They'd never beat me. Physically, they might do, but I'll gamble on that one.
Okay, so fighting for justice.
Fighting for justice.
Impeachment before government.
Yeah.
Alan, thank you so much.
You're a diamond for having me, and the director as well. Two good people.
Thanks for everybody listening at home today, and I hope you come along and watch another Stepping Stones programme very soon. Thank you and good night.
Good night.